Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a book recommendation. This video was supposed to be filmed and out quite a bit ago, but yeah, life just didn't work out that way, so we're gonna do it now. But I want to talk about Bed Eater by Kylie Lee Baker because this book was just amazing. It is such a great book, and so yeah, I want to recommend it to everyone, and I want to like spread the word around it, because I just think everybody should read this book. Like, doesn't matter what genres you enjoy and what books you normally read. I think this should be like a book that just everybody picks up at least once and reads through it just to get the story. I think the story is just so good and important that everybody should read it. So yeah, let's start with the edition that I have, because I do want to have a little chat about it. I have the Illumicrate Evernight exclusive edition, which is their horror book box, and yeah, they do really nice editions. Mine has this scene from the book on it, and the back looks like this, and then it does also have a exchangeable cover, so you can turn it around, and then you have this cover with this cleaning supply. And yeah, I do really like the dust jacket, but what I love even more is the book without the dust jacket, because this is the cover under the dust jacket, which this looks amazing. This is one of the bad things that we see in the book, and then we have this coppery color for the words, which like looks so good, and then on the back we have a burning building. And yeah, I just love the design of the book. It looks so good, but I do also have to say the original cover of the book also looks really good. So if you go out and buy the normal version, it looks really good in my opinion. It's more of like a minimalistic cover, I would say. But yeah, this cover is it's just it for me. I love the cover. And then we also have painted edges. They have bats on them, and then we have two scenes. For the end pages, we have this subway scene on here, and then we have a city scene at the back of the book. So yeah, I do have to say I really love this version of the book. It is really pretty version of it, and I'm really happy that I own this version. So yeah, that's just for the beginning, but like pretty book, Now let's talk roughly about what the book is about. It is a book that starts in the pandemic, and it is mainly playing out through the pandemic. So it is rooted in realism, even though it is a supernatural horror book. We have our main character, who is Chinese American, and she and her sister, who is, I think, technically completely Chinese, but she is living in America with her. And they are at the subway station. The pandemic is in full force, but they have to get home some way, and somebody comes from behind and pushes her sister in front of the train, and her sister dies in front of her eyes, and the person whispers "Bed Eater" at her, our main character. And we have a time skip. Then we go through to 3 months after that, and our main character is now working as a crime scene cleaner, because she obviously also had a lot of problems with money due to the pandemic. She was studying before, and so now she got this crime scene cleaning job, and that is pretty much where like the bulk of the story goes from. We have a really complex main character. Right from the beginning, we get to know her. We get to know that she kind of feels like a husk of a person. She feels like all she's ever doing is mimicking her sister and trying to live up to a person that she doesn't particularly like. Like, the sisters don't seem to have like a really good relationship. It seems to be more like her sister, who's the older one, doesn't really seem to like her, and she feels like she is living through her sister and never doing anything that she wants to do because she doesn't really seem to have any inspiration to what she wants to do. And then we also have the factor that our main character definitely is a germaphobe. I feel like she has OCD. It's never like mentioned what she has, like it isn't given a diagnosis, which I think works out kind of great because I think a lot of people can see themselves in the main character because of the struggles that she has with her mental health. For me, it read a lot like depression and OCD and germophobia. So that is what I kind of got out of the book from what the main character seems to have. And we get confronted with that a lot. Like it really rules her life, and we get so much of that in the book, coupled with the racism that happened in the beginning of the pandemic, which is just, you know, the whole topic of like building an enemy that people can be angry about just because life isn't going the way they thought it should be going. I think like that was a really, really big problem with like that the pandemic really highlighted the fact that like humans tend to fabricate enemies and like imagined enemies pretty much to have something to be angry at. So you aren't angry into like nothingness, you know, like people really, I think, thrive on having a manifestation they can direct their anger to, and especially in the beginning of the pandemic that was against Chinese people. And obviously that was a really, really big problem, and the book really handled that topic really, really nicely. Like Kylie really did a great job showcasing how horrible and how senseless that all was. Because obviously, you know, even though the virus may have started in China, like not may have, it started in China, but like that doesn't have anything to do really with the people in the country. And just the senselessness of us all is something that is really, really highlighted in the book. And that really is like the red line that goes through the book, because once our main character becomes a crime scene cleaner, she starts noticing a pattern with Asian women dying and them having to clean that up. They mostly work in the in Chinatown of New York. I think it's called that. I'm really sorry. I'm not from America. I don't know much about New York, to be honest. So yeah, I'm sorry if I get something like that wrong. But yeah, she starts to notice a pattern, and from there, the horror gets in, which I won't describe more directly because you really need to feel that out for yourself. But she does start to make acquaintances with the people she works with, and from then they as a group kind of start investigating a little bit. And I love that everything that connects to the horror is like either rooted in her mental health problems or rooted in Chinese mythology and their beliefs, like, is it religious beliefs? I think it's connected to religion. I don't know much about Chinese religion, to be honest. But yeah, it's all connected to that, and it's so interesting. I thought it was like a really, really nice change of pace, because in a lot of horror books we get more like Western supernatural horror with like, you know, the typical like ghosts and your typical more like Western monsters. And I really like the contrast of that, having the Chinese mythology in here and their beliefs with ghosts and their beliefs with what happens after you die, and you know, how do you keep the dead happy, stuff like that. It's a really nice contrast to what I think we often get in horror books, so that was a really nice contrast. Then we're now gonna get to one spoiler. I don't like, if you haven't read the book yet, I technically think you shouldn't listen to what comes now, but if you aren't interested in reading it, Just listen to what comes now. But yeah, there is a spoiler warning now. I'm gonna put the time here to where you can skip. It's a really, really rough spoiler. Like, I'm not gonna go into details, but I do want to talk about the concept of the ending of the book. So let's talk about the ending of the book. Not what completely happens, but I think it's so impressive that the book manages to make such a perfect ending, because the book doesn't have a good or a bad ending. I would say the ending is actually pretty neutral, and I really, really like that, because our main character, she kind of gets her revenge. That does happen in the end, but obviously after getting her revenge, it's not like everything is great all of a sudden, you know, and that is so good in this book. You have the realities of like trying to go back to normal life, trying to cope with your problems, and actually starting to trying to fix your problems, but it being a time a time sensitive thing. Like you do still have to take your time to deal with all the trauma and to deal with what happened, and maybe come to terms with your problems, especially like the OCD, the germophobia, the depression, all of that. Like, coming to terms with that and actually seeking help and getting help is like a long process. It's not like from one day to another, and the ending of the book really like plays into that, and I really, really love that. I feel like often once we get like a happy ending, either it stops directly after the end conflict and we don't ever get to know what happens after, or everything is incredibly positive directly after, which is really, really unrealistic. And in Bad Eater, it's just such a great ending, because we get this really realistic look into how it would be. Like, she gets her revenge, she makes new living arrangements because she doesn't lose her job because of that, and then she has to like sit with her trauma, and she has to like try and work through it, and just, you know, get through all of the things that happened to her, and really look into herself, and really look at how she handled everything, and what her problems are, and what she wants her future to look like. And that is a theme in here in the end, and I really, really love that. I think that is the perfect ending for a book like that, to not have like an instant happy ending, or a negative ending, because oftentimes we obviously in horror books could also have a negative ending, which I personally dislike, to be honest. But I think this is just the perfect ending. Like, you know, being like, well, not everything is great, but I'm trying to do little steps to make everything better, and I'm at the start, and who knows where this goes. I love that. I absolutely love that. Like, it's a great ending for the book. So that is pretty much what I mainly wanted to talk about. I gave it five stars. Obviously, it was perfect in my opinion. It was a really good mixture of realistic horror and existential horror and the supernatural horror. I think the mixture works really, really well in the book. I think it's a topic that needs to be talked about. You know, we are all just people, and I hate the hate that exists in today's world, and this book like makes a really, really good point with how the story works out and how the people interact with one another, how horrible people are everywhere, and you aren't really safe from them, because people just have this like enemy, like the picture of an enemy that isn't really even there, that is like fabricated kind of. And yeah, the book is just really brilliant with that topic, and I think there should be more books out there that tackle topics like this in a way this book did, because it was so interesting. And even through all of the, I don't want to say quirks, but through all of the things our main character does, it was never like annoying, which that was something I was afraid of from the beginning, that maybe like her behaviors would start to get annoying to like read about them again and again. But I think it was just doing like a really, really good job to make it more realistic for the reader, and to kind of be able to get into the head of the main character and suffering with her through all of her problems. And that was just so well done. so well done. So yeah, this is my quick little review for Bad Eater. Go out, buy it, read it. It is amazing. I think it's like a really important read. It is also a great story. It is great entertainment through it all, but it's like great entertainment with a great message in the book, you know, so that I think is a really perfect book, you know. It's, and to be honest, as much as I like supernatural horror and stuff like that, I think the existential horror just hits so much more. I think that needs to be said. Like, that shit hit hard. I like, yeah, it, you know, there were scenes in here that made me so incredibly sad for the main character. And there were parts where I could look at the main character and be like, oh my god, I see myself in some aspects of her problems. And, you know, it's pretty eye-opening. And yeah, it's just amazing. I could talk about it all day. I'm really sorry. I'm also already looking forward to do a reread of this. Because I think the more you read books like these, the more you pick up the small details. So yeah, I don't know. I loved it, you know. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. If you've read the book, please leave your opinion down below, and your thoughts, just so you know we can exchange all of our thoughts about the book. And if you haven't read the book, pick it up, or if you are actually not interested in picking it up, please tell me why. I always love to get different angles and different opinions, so I would actually really be interested in why you wouldn't pick this up. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope I will see you in the next video, and can welcome you back to this channel. Bye bye.